So I'll try to explain the what is a level, what is a series. Okay, so this is the main layout of the UI window with all the features inbuilt, which are the shortcut icons and the menu options. If I go to the worksheets, and there's something called aggregation levels. So if I open this window, there are available levels on the left side and there are selected levels on the right side. Okay. So for timing, let's concentrate on the available levels. So these are the levels, whatever we are seeing on this window, these are the levels which are configured on the business model. Okay. So what are the levels we enable, or the levels which we configure in the business model? Those levels we can see here in the application. Whatever you see in the brown color boxes, right, square boxes, so these are specific to the item hierarchy. Okay, whatever we have next to that globe kind of structure, right, circle one, small icons, so this entire one talks about the, this complete talks about the location hierarchy. So then next to that you have few more levels which we ignore for timing, because this specifically when we talk about the CTO configuration, which is not a part of this training session because it's an advanced topic and it's not related to DM. It requires a different set of setups and a different set of data. Okay, so when we talk about the demand management training, we mainly focus on the item hierarchy and the organization hierarchy. Now if you see here, when I talk about the item hierarchy, so I have these levels: asset group, class code, demand class, item. And within the item we have again a bunch of hierarchies here: item description, item type, master item, product category, product family. And when I talk about the organization structure or location structure, I have organization, country, virtual, legal entity, so on. Okay. It's a big hierarchy. So whatever the hierarchies we are seeing here in this window, these are the default levels which we get from the product. Okay. I have not configured anything. Whatever we see here, this all has come. This all came as a seeded or out of box configuration. So this is what the levels are. So or Demantra provides a flexibility. Whenever you are trying to read the data in Demantra, you can play around with the data. Like you can read the data at item level, or you can read the data at item organization level, or you can read the data item organization product family level. So at whatever level you want to see the data, those specific set of levels you have to select onto a right hand side window. Okay, so whenever you save this worksheet and run the worksheet, when you refresh the worksheet should reflect the data in this particular hierarchical format. Okay, so for time being, if you see here on the existing worksheet configuration, right now I'm trying to see the data at organization level and the item level. Okay. So for this particular organization, or within from this particular organization, these are the two items which are sold to the customers. I'll go back in again here, and I can go for the customer also. If I go here, customer. So this is my customer. So from this organization, so these are the badam biscuit 400 grams and the dark chocolates I sold to this particular customer. Okay, so this is how we read the hierarchical data in the system. So whatever the organization details, customer details, and the item details which you're seeing here, these are data which is coming from the source instance, from the EBS instance, transactional data. It could be your EBS instance, Oracle EBS, or it could be SAP system, any third-party system. So whatever master data, when I say master data, it's item, organization, customer, and the transactional data, what you see here, 500, 500. This is your historical data, shipment data, booking data. So this is also which you're getting from the Oracle EBS system or any other ERP system. So whatever we see here, 500 numbers, right? So these are the historical data which we are pulling from the EBS system. It could be the bookings or the shipments what we have delivered to the customer. Okay. Now, whenever we get a data from the EBS environment, so we have to have a placeholder to read that number. Okay, so series is a place where you actually store the numbers. Okay, for example, in this example, right now I am getting the shipment history, for example. Okay, so in this example, for my shipping inbound organization, and item is biscuits 400 grams, and the customer is Karachi bakers, right? So for this customer and so date, this is a number of quantity which I sold, shipped to the customer. Okay, there's February 1st of February 2020, I sold 500 packets or 500 uh, cartons to this particular customer. So series is the one which acts as a placeholder for the data which we are getting from the EBS environment, or from an ERP instance. So let me show you some sample data what I prepared to show that in the application. So I try to consider simple hierarchy for the item and location. Okay, it could be item or product hierarchy, we can call it as. Right? So I just took the three level hierarchy. Okay, category, segment, and the item. And location is organization, customer, customer site, and territory. Okay, it could be a country, for example. So if you see this side, I try to align these values to right hand side. So the way it represents is whatever C is category, right? This is a parent level. Okay, and segment is a child of category, and item is a child of segment. Okay? So in Demantra, always we read the data in parent-child relationship format. Okay, in the sense, a segment can have multiple childs, a category can have multiple segments. Okay, it cannot be other way around. Like item cannot have multiple segments, and segment cannot have multiple categories. Okay. It goes a top to bottom approach. Okay, in a similar way, if you see here organization and customer, if you see the customer again, it's like customer, and a customer can have multiple sites, and same customer can be in multiple countries. So that's we try to define the hierarchy, simple hierarchy. So this is sample data which I try to get. So category is a bakery category, and the segments would be a biscuit segment and chocolates, right? And within this you have these items.
No. Yeah,
Can you guess?
it seemed. Sorry, actually, we had a problem with our mics, I believe. I was trying to ask you, but I think even now Itika has the same problem. Itika,
Okay.
I just restarted. I just logged out and re-logged in.
Yeah, please tell me.
No, the problem. What I'm trying to ask is that you're saying the previous screen, right? The series where you are
Uh-huh.
showing the customer and item combination.
Right.
So you're showing the history on day wise, right?
Correct.
So where do we control that? Whether it is the orders to be considered only upon booking or upon shipping? Do we control somewhere, or is it by default?
Okay. So basically, if we integrate the Demantra system with the Oracle EBS, right? So Oracle EBS as a standard integration program from EBS to Demantra. Okay. So there's
Okay.
something called I'll note down here, because right now we don't have that integration here, right, as a part of a training, but you can check in your internal instance. There's a program called collect shipments and booking history. It's a concurrent request set basically on ASCP side. So this is a request set, collect shipment and booking history. Uh, Maybe I'll take up this later. Let me go with the basics first. So when I come to this place, I can
Okay.
explain you these details in detail.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Sure, no problem.
I'll come to that. Just I'm trying to explain the basic concepts. Once we go into detail, right, I can explain this in detail.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a place and we can control that what to pull to a demantra. Okay, but for time being, just will focus on the basics. So once we go into
Okay.
detailed discussion, right, I'll take that concept. Okay. So yeah, yesterday we were asking like the series, what actually series is meant for. So basically, series is a kind of placeholder where you can store the different kind of data which is coming from the EBS or which is coming from the other legacy or other third-party systems or the user entered values also. Okay, you can have a number of series defined. So by default, with the system, as a out of box, we'll get a bunch of seeded series, but on top of that user can define the additional series as well. Okay, so series setup is again a one-time activity as a part of a implementation, because sorry, as a part of a requirement gathering, we'll discuss with the business what kind of data they're expecting in the system and what are the types of series they're expecting in the system. So based on that final discussion, we'll configure the series in the system. So it's a one-time activity. It's not going to be an ongoing activity. Okay, it's done at initial phases, during the development phase. You will be doing a new setup of series only when there's a new announcements from the business. So this is a series. Now we'll talk about this whatever you're seeing here, right, in this worksheet window. We'll talk about this in detail in the later sessions. How this time buckets are controlled, how the series is controlled, and how the hierarchy is controlled. We'll see with the backend tables also. No need to worry on that. Just as a basic, I'm just trying to show you how the UI looks. Okay. So yesterday we were here. Right? So basically, this is what we have seen on the screen. So you can see here multiple series, right? But as of now, we saw only one series in the worksheet as a part of a first series concept. But when we go further in detail, right, we'll try to create more series and we'll try to see the different concepts of the series. Yeah. So as I mentioned, worksheet is the main UI for the users. So whenever demand planner comes uh, for work, so on day-to-day basis, he would be working only on the worksheets. Rest of things are managed by the IT admin guys, IT support guys. Okay, so here user has flexibility. They can create a number of worksheets, but most of the cases when we go with the big clients, right, what we suggest them is we'll try to control the access uh, for most of the users, saying that will not give access to all the users to create the worksheets. In general, what happens is if we give access to all the users to create a worksheet, right, what they do is they'll keep on creating a new worksheets. Okay, so that degrades the system performance. Basically, what we suggest is try to play around with the same worksheet based on the data what you need. Okay, so for example, if I go to this application, so generally if you see this, now I have the organization item and customer level information on the worksheet. Okay, now generally what happens if user is not completely aware of the application, generally what they do is if they want to see the data at the organization level, simply what they do is they'll try to create a new worksheet. Okay, which we never suggest. That what we suggest them is utilize the existing worksheet, just try to change the aggregation level of the worksheet, just play with the worksheet, the existing one. Now you can see the data at the organization level. Okay, so this will keep the performance of the system at a better level, and at the same time it reduces the number of worksheets created in the system. Okay, so there's a one more flexibility what we have in the worksheets. Okay. So there's so many things in the worksheets. I'll talk about this later, all these menus. But for timing, worksheet is the one which is used by the users. So when you start using the worksheet, right, you feel like you're using the Excel. It's like you'll get most like 90% of the features you see same as like Excel sheet. So these are different contents you can see when you open the worksheet. Currently, when I open the application, you saw only that table window, right? This first window. Okay, graphs and other sections we are not in. Yes, if you open any worksheet, right, at a given point of time, you can see the table data as well as the data in the graphical format, and you can see additional information also. Okay, but for timing, just will focus on the tables. Okay, any questions?
So like as you said yesterday, right? Worksheets can only be edited by the people who has the access, super users, like kind of thing.
Right.
And what are the changes they saved? It will be applicable to the remaining users as well.
uh, no, so there are two things here. Basically, worksheets are two types: public worksheets and private worksheets. Okay,
Uh-huh.
public worksheet is the one. For example, I create a worksheet, making it as a public worksheet. Okay, let's take this as an example. Okay, so this is a worksheet, demo worksheet, which I created. Okay, and it's a public worksheet. Okay, it's a public worksheet. Okay, now if you guys open this application, right,
Mm.
uh, you can access this worksheet. Even though the worksheet is created by me, you can access this worksheet. But the only thing what you cannot do is you cannot change the you can change the definition of the layout for temporarily. For example, you can play with this all these things. You can add a number of levels to the worksheet, and you can read the data. Okay, that is fine. But you cannot save the definition of the worksheet because you are not the user of the you are not the owner of the worksheet. Okay, if the worksheet is a public worksheet, the people who has the access to the application, they can access the worksheet, they can play around with the worksheet, but they cannot change the definition and cannot just save it temporarily. They can change the definition, they can see the data, but they cannot save the changes. Okay, and second one is this a private worksheet. Private worksheet is the one, if I make it as a private worksheet, the person who has created the worksheet can only see the worksheet. For rest of them, it won't be visible in the worksheet list. Okay, that's the second thing. And third thing is, you see this create icon right on the left corner, which I highlighted now. If you restrict the access to the users, people who have access to create worksheet, for them only this icon will be enabled. For rest of the users, this will be disabled mode only. They cannot access this icon. Any questions? Did I answer your question? Answer your question?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, like in EVs, we have security menu functions kind of thing. We have anything here that
Yes,
controls
we have.
this create and
Yeah. So there are different levels of securities in Demantra as well. Like for example, if an organization is placed in different countries in the world, like if they want to restrict the users from accessing the data from other region, like for example, North America users should not access the data of Latin America, right? So in these cases, we can restrict the data region wise, or what you call product family level. We can do that. We can restrict the data based on the users access. So I'll not touch these topics now. Just I'll go move forward. This talking about the different parts in the worksheet. We'll discuss this in detail later. Like there are different sections in the worksheets when you open it. There would be menu bar, browser, member browser, status bar, graphs, tables, activities. There's so many things. There are embedded sheets also. When we talk in detail, we'll talk about this. Once you have access to the application, right? Then we'll start detailed discussion on this. Okay, this is talking about all these features only. This we can ignore that. So the next one is workflows, right? So this is where I can answer a question. How this data, how series gets the data? You are asking like how the data is loaded to the series. Okay. So in
Itika
Dimanta,
has a question. I think she typed a question there.
oh, okay. Mm, Ithika will take this up later because right now I'm trying to cover the very basics of Demantra concepts. So when we talk about a series in detail, like series setup, series creation, I can talk about this series editable, how we make it editable, and all those stuff. Yes, that is done in the series setup. When you go to the business model, there is an option to make it editable and non-editable. Okay. So same like in Oracle EBS. So in EBS we have something called concurrent programs, right? To load the data to a base tables or to run any custom process, right? In a similar format, in Demantra we have something called workflows. Okay. See in Oracle EBS also we have workflows, right? Background workflows for the order management, all this stuff. But these workflows are not that much complex. Okay. So these are simple and straightforward workflows what you see in Demantra. And Demantra workflows are similar like your concurrent programs. They try to complete a process like to load data to a base tables or to a custom to run any custom process. We run these workflows. Okay, by default we get a seeded workflows as a part of a system application installation. On top of that, user can create a additional workflows based on the requirement and the need. So this configuration window, how it looks. So we have several steps which you see in the diagram: BLE step, container step, customer email step, so forth, so on. Okay, but most of the time we'll not use all these steps. Very rarely we use, but there are 3 to 4 steps we regularly use when you try to configure any custom workflow. Okay, so at high level, workflow is nothing but it's a integration process which is helpful to run any custom process, any staged process, to load the data to Demantra or to publish the data from Demantra to ACP and any other planning system. Let me show you that in application how it looks. So once you log into the application, right? So on settings and actions, there's something called workflow management. So these are all of the serial workflows only. I have not configured anything. So this all comes as a part of an installation. Okay, so each workflow has its own importance and functionality, and whatever we see, right, it's talking about all the workflows. For example, it talks of the PTP, uh, then CTO workflows are there here. For example, if I go here, CTO workflows, general will not use now. We have few workflows which we discuss a later point of time, which are very specific to demand management. So just for an example, I'll edit this workflow.
So we can create workflows, we can delete anything as such we can do.
Yes, we can do that. We can delete, we can create, we can rename, we can copy as.
We cannot delete all workflows, right?
It depends. So, for example, if you're logging as a demand management user, DM user, so you can read only the
Okay.
workflows which are part of the DM module. Rest all
Okay.
would be grayed out. You cannot edit them, or you cannot start them also. Few of them. Okay. So this is how the layout window looks, the edit window. So if you want any changes, for example, if you want to delete this step, you can delete. You can all this, you can play around with this. Okay. For timing will not do anything. So yeah, so to answer your question, right, so if you see this 1753, right, PTP to APCC. So right now I'm logged in as a DM user. So this talked about the PTP module. So there's an is not editable. I cannot edit it. So whatever you see as a DM user, those all I can edit, right? So that's how it is. Yes, all workflows we cannot edit from the same user.
Okay. And these other workflows, like which user we can access is, and how do we know like which users we can access which workflow? I thought
So there's
DM
a
was the master user.
no. So if you see here on the second column, right? So there's a PTP here. So this means
Mm-hmm.
it's specific to the PTP model. So if you log into the application using the PTP user, you can edit this workflow or you can delete it.
Okay. Okay. And but what about that one that are blank?
Okay, so these are different. So these we call them as a methods. So basically, what wherever is don't see any name, right? There's no
Mm-hmm.
name against that column, right? So these are the workflows, but these workflows are launched from the methods. There's something called methods. I'll come after this topic. So these
Oh, okay. That
workflows
is
are launched
different
from the methods.
process.
Yeah, so they don't have a user right, and you don't see this start button also enabled. It's disabled here,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Okay. I'll come
Okay.
to the
And
topic.
these are our predefined method, right? There is nothing that you created.
Yeah, right now, yeah, these yesterday only freshly installed this application. So these are all the
Mm.
seeded workflows. I have not created any custom one.
Okay, okay, got it.
Okay.
Like
Any question?
worksheets, we make it making it as private and public. Can we make
Mhm.
workflows also private and public?
Workflows also we have a control. We can apply security for the workflows so that we can disable the start menu for certain users. Yes, we. Yeah. So next is methods, the one which we are discussing, right? So methods is which is used by the users only methods, but it's configured from the business model. If the users wants to run any custom process on fly from the worksheets, right? So they can use methods. So methods internally calls the workflows, any custom process. Okay. So methods are links to a workflow. Whenever you run any method, that internally calls a workflow. Workflow internally calls a PLC called logic or semi-method logic. So it's a step-by-step process. So methods are accessed by the users, which is configured in the business model. And these methods you can see in the worksheets only. So if I go to worksheet here, okay, so these are methods on it. New item description view, and we can create custom also. I'm not able to see here. One minute. Okay, so on top you can see some item icon, store replenishment order recalculation, just an example. So basically this is a method only. So when you click on this method, right, so internally it launches a workflow, so that exists a custom logic. So in general, if you launch a workflow, right, so workflow, what it does, it will run the process for the bulk data. For example, if I want to update a certain data in the table, so what happens is it tries to do the updates for all the combinations what you have in the table based on the logic. But if the user wants to do that calculation, or if you want to run that custom process for a selected item or for a selected organization, so generally what they do is they configure the custom logic at a method level, so that when they run the custom process through the method, so that will execute that logic only for that specific combination. Okay, so in a simple word, method launches a custom workflow for a selected combinations.
Uh, I think I missed one step. Can you show me how that icon came? Because initially it was not there, right?
Right. Okay. So basically, this method is configured at item level. Okay. So
Okay.
basically, these methods are defined at different levels. Okay. For example,
Mhm.
I'm trying to remove that item level. Just added other levels. Now you don't see that icon here because that
Yeah.
method is configured at item level. So since now item level is not selected in my hierarchy, it's not showing up. So if I remove all other levels, if I go for item level, you can see this method. So basically this method is defined at item level. So when I run this method, so if I run this, right, for example, that method will execute that workflow whatever associated with method, that will execute only for this badam biscuits 400 grams item, only for the specific combination. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
how the methods work. Any questions on methods?
See, it's only basically can I say that it's only for viewing the data? Method is only
Methods,
for viewing. Yeah.
No, no, method is not for the viewing data, it's for processing a data for a selected
But you
combination.
you just removed few attributes and replaced with item, then item appeared, then you
No, no,
just
no,
change the
no.
data.
No, no,
No?
no. I'll tell you. So basically, if you want to trigger any method, right? Basically, when you configure a method, you'll decide at what level you want to configure a method. Whether you want to configure a method at item level or organization level, you decide that. Okay. For example, right now this item, whatever you see this icon, right? That is a method. It's configured at item level. Okay. Now since I selected this hierarchy here, I can see this icon. Now I click, when I click on this, for example, if you click on this, right, maybe I don't know what it will do now, but I'll click see it complete first. Just observe on the left bottom corner, you'll see some process running here, completing very fast. So when I run that, but when I click on that button on that method, what it does is it internally runs some process to perform some custom calculations to update some data based on the logic what we define in the workflow. So maybe I'll put it in Excel. Method, it will call the workflows internally. Workflow will have a custom logic, okay, to process some data. So whenever I launch any work method from the worksheet, that it will internally trigger the workflows. It could be any one of these workflows, what we see here, which are of like the one which we don't have any name, like whatever the workflow associated to that method, that workflow gets triggered. So each method will be associated with a certain workflow. That workflow gets triggered when you trigger a method. That workflow internally executes some logic.
Okay, and where do we define that what workflow is linked with what method?
That would be in the business model.
Okay, okay,
It's a business model setup. I'll cover that.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
So if you see the screenshot, right? So there are different. You can configure a number of methods based on the requirement. Like you can open a worksheet from other worksheet. That could be one method. Okay. So you can define a different way of creating methods. Okay.
So the method is can I say is submitting a concurrent program?
Sorry.
Sorry, I was just little.
I didn't get your question.
No, method, can I say like in EBS we submit a concurrent program, right?
Hmm. Okay.
Is that the same thing it does?
So EBS concurrent program can be compared with the workflow. Workflow is similar to a concurrent program. Okay, where you are executing for a, like let's assume a concurrent program without any parameters. What it does, it will try to execute for the all the eligible data as per the logic what you define for that concurrent program without any parameters, right?
That is
Same, that is
workflow.
workflow. Workflow. Okay, let's assume a concurrent program with the parameters. So based on the parameters what you pass to the concurrent program, your custom logic will execute for only for those selected parameters. Correct. Methods
Yeah.
also, it's like a parameterized concurrent program.
Okay. Okay.
Logic will work only for the parameters what you pass using the methods.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
Yes.
Reddy, one thing. Can you just go back to the previous slide where you had some?
Yes.
Yeah, this one. So yeah, so this thing that you're showing, right, where it says open with and then volume tracking, planning environment, blah blah blah. All these are methods, is it?
Yeah, all these are methods, but here these are the worksheets. From that
Yeah,
particular
got it.
worksheet, yes, methods only. Correct.
Correct. So I mean, yeah. So here, what you're basically from the screenshot, what if you say click on volume tracking, right? So basically, what it would do is it would refresh the worksheet and I mean give volume related data.
It will not refresh. Basically, it will try to open another worksheet.
Another worksheet, okay, so which will have volume related data, right? For the same
Yeah.
whatever initial things I had on the worksheet,
Correct, exactly. So for
right?
whatever combination highlighted in the worksheet, the master worksheet, For example, in this albatrons is there, right? So on that cell you have highlighted that cell and you right click and you open the volume tracking. Then the volume tracking will show the data only for the selected combination. It will not show the other data.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
So
So
the
okay, so
workflow
methods.
have
So
different combinations. Yeah.
okay, so we have to set it up, and basically based on that setup, it will give the data how we have. I mean that we want to see,
Exactly.
right? That is
Correct.
crux of it. Okay, okay, fine.
Yes.
Thanks.
So then comes the security part. Right. So we can apply security at different levels in the system, except the series cannot be controlled. Okay. When I say series cannot be controlled means generally business will come up with a different kind of request which is not possible. For example, uh, you can give access to the user or you can hide the series for that user. Okay. If I give access to the series, if I provide access to user for a particular series, right? User can play with that series, he can do anything to the series, he can edit the numbers, he can save the data, anything. Okay, but there won't be any cases like I'll provide access to the user, but user should not edit the numbers. Okay, that cannot be possible. So there's some restriction in the data security part, but from the data viewing point, we can control the data. For example, I want to show the users only certain product category data to certain users. I can control that. Okay, only certain product family data should be shown to the certain users. Yes, we can control that. Okay, those kind of data security we can apply at the user level. So admin tools, this is what the main concept business model. So whatever we talk about a series, methods, levels, engine setup, any parameter setup, user security, everything will be doing the business modeler. Okay, so business modeler acts as a heart for Demantra. So we should be very careful when you're doing any changes in the business modeler, mainly in production, because once you do the changes, once you save it, right, we cannot revert it. Okay, unless until you have some backup screenshots to revert it, but this you cannot undo it. Okay, and there are few elements in business modeler. Once you change them, whole data gets corrupted. Okay, so when we're acting a business model, we should be very cautious and careful. Okay, so this is how business modeler window looks. So let me open that. I'll show you. So this is a business modeler window. So where you have different menu icons here: data model, configurations, engine, parameters, tools, security, and components. Okay, so this where we do the series configuration, level configuration, etc. Methods configuration, what we have discussed so far.
If you like our videos, then subscribe to our channel and be a part of the journey with GoLogica and stay connected with the latest videos.